You ever come out of a corner and think, man, that didn't feel right? Maybe you ran a little wide. Maybe the bike wobbled under you. Or maybe your gut just clenched up because you weren't in control the way you thought you were. Let me tell you this right now. You're not a bad rider. Most of the time, it's just a handful of small mistakes that sneak up on us in corners. And today, we're breaking down the 5 biggest cornering mistakes riders make and how you can fix them so every ride feels smoother, safer, and a whole lot more fun. Hey, what's up, guys? Matthew here from Autozium, bringing you real world tips that actually make you a better rider, not just a faster one. Corners are where motorcycles come alive, but they're also where most riders get nervous, make mistakes, and unfortunately, where a lot of crashes happen. Let's change that. All right, let's dive into mistake number one. Mistake number one, looking at the wrong thing. You've heard it 1,000 times. Look where you want to go. Sounds simple, right? But when you're actually leaned over in a corner, wind rushing past your helmet, the last thing your brain wants to do is trust that advice. Instead, a lot of riders do the exact opposite. They stare right at the patch of road in front of their tire. Or worse, they lock onto the guardrail, the gravel patch, or the car drifting toward the center line. That's called target fixation. And the cruel trick of motorcycling is this: your bike goes exactly where your eyes go. The moment you fixate on the hazard, that's where you'll drift. And that's why so many riders run wide or clip curbs, not because they couldn't handle the corner, but because their vision was dragging them into trouble. Here's the thing: your motorcycle is way more capable than your brain gives it credit for. Most bikes out there, even little 300cc commuters, can lean harder and turn sharper than the rider ever asks them to. The limiting factor isn't usually the machine, it's vision. When you stare down, your inputs get choppy, your line gets messy, and suddenly that easy bend feels like a death trap. So, what's the fix? Push your vision forward. Before you enter a corner, turn your head and actually look through it. Not at the pavement at your feet, but at the farthest point of the curve you can see. Lock your eyes there and trust your bike to follow. You'll be amazed at how much smoother your line becomes when your brain is processing the big picture instead of micromanaging every crack in the asphalt. One of the best drills for this is riding a simple, wide corner over and over again. Each time, force yourself to look farther through it. The more you practice, the more your eyes naturally start leading the bike instead of dragging it down. It feels awkward at first, almost like you're not paying enough attention to the road in front of you. But once it clicks, it feels like riding on rails. There's also a bonus here. Scanning ahead buys you more reaction time. If a car noses out of a side road or there's debris mid-turn, spotting it early gives you options. Staring at your front tire, you'll never see it coming until it's too late. So, next time you're out in the twisties, ask yourself this: where are my eyes? If they're locked on the hazard, you're inviting trouble. If they're already hunting the exit of the corner, you're setting yourself up to ride smoother, safer, and way more confidently. Mistake number two: braking in the middle of the turn. All right, let's talk about one of the most common and most dangerous cornering mistakes: grabbing brake mid-turn. We've all been there. You roll into a corner faster than you meant to. Panic hits, and your instinct says, brake! So you squeeze. Suddenly, the bike stands up, the line goes wide, and your heart rate spikes. Not fun. Why does this happen? Because braking while leaned over messes with the balance of forces keeping the bike stable. When you're in a turn, the tires are already busy handling lean angle and cornering forces. Yank the brakes, and you overload the front tire. Best case, the bike wants to straighten up and push you wide. Worst case, you lose traction and slide. The solution is surprisingly simple. Do your braking before the corner. Approach every bend with what's called the slow in, fast out mentality. That means you scrub off excess speed while the bike is still upright in a straight line. Once you tip in, the bike should already be at a pace you're comfortable carrying through. From there, it's throttle, not brake, that keeps things stable. Think of it like this: brakes are for setup, throttle is for stability. Once leaned over, even just rolling on a little steady throttle keeps weight planted on the rear wheel and the suspension balanced. Chopping or grabbing brake inside the corner does the opposite. It unsettles everything. Here's a drill. Pick a corner you know well. As you approach, consciously brake a little earlier than you think you need to. Get all your slowing done upright, then lean in. Focus on holding or gently rolling on throttle all the way through. Do it a few times, and you'll notice how much calmer and smoother the whole turn feels. Now, that's not to say brakes are totally off limits mid corner. Advanced riders use something called trail braking, lightly feathering the front brake as they lean in. But that's not something you jump into right away. For most riders, the golden rule is this: brakes before the corner, throttle through the corner. Commit to that one habit, and you'll instantly stop looking like a rookie fighting physics. Instead, you'll glide through bends like the bike was made for it, because it was. Mistake number 3: stiff arms and death grip. If I could point to one thing that makes new riders look uncomfortable on a bike, it's this: the death grip. Hands locked around the bars, arms stiff as steel, body tense like the bike is about to buck them off. And ironically, that tension is exactly what makes the bike feel sketchy in the first place. Here's the deal: a motorcycle is a brilliantly engineered machine. The geometry of the forks, the gyroscopic effect of the wheels, and the suspension all work together to keep it stable, even when you hit bumps or wiggles. But when you clamp onto the handlebars with stiff arms, you fight against that natural stability. Every little shake transfers straight into your body, and your tension feeds it right back into the bars. That's how you end up with wobbles, instability, and that I'm not in control feeling. The fix? Loosen up. Your hands should be guiding the bars, not choking them. Think firm but relaxed, like holding a screwdriver, not like hanging onto the edge of a cliff. Your arms should be slightly bent, elbows loose, shoulders relaxed. The moment your upper body tenses, the bike feels twitchy. Where should you be holding yourself up? With your core and your legs. Squeeze the tank gently with your knees. Engage your core and let your arms float. This takes the weight off your hands and frees up the bars to do their job. A great way to check yourself is to wiggle your fingers mid-ride. If you can't, you're holding too tight. Another trick: next time you go through a corner, focus on letting the bike lean underneath you instead of forcing it. You'll be surprised how much smoother the ride feels when you're not muscling it around. Think about pro riders. They're not wrestling the bike, they're dancing with it. Their bodies move fluidly, their arms stay loose, and the bike carves the line it was designed to. You don't need to ride like MotoGP, but you can steal that one principle: relax. Trust me, when you stop death gripping the bars, you instantly stop looking like a nervous rookie. Instead, you look like a rider who knows the bike has your back, and that confidence shows in every corner. Mistake number 4: sitting in the wrong spot. All right, let's talk body position. Most riders underestimate how much where you sit and how you move on the bike affects cornering. And honestly, it's one of the easiest giveaways that someone's new to riding. If you're sitting bolt upright in the middle of the seat, leaning late, or not shifting your body at all, you're basically making the bike do all the work. And while modern motorcycles are incredibly forgiving, they'll feel a whole lot more stable if you meet them halfway. Think about this. When you and the bike lean together, you're sharing the workload. The tires don't have to dig as deep. The suspension feels less strained, and suddenly the corner feels smoother. But when you stay stiff, centered, and upright, you're essentially saying, "Hey, bike, you handle this on your own." That's when things start to feel sketchy. Now, I'm not saying you need to go full Marc Marquez and hang off the side of the bike with your knee scraping asphalt. This isn't MotoGP. But even a small adjustment, like sliding your butt half an inch to the inside, dropping your inside shoulder, and leaning your head into the corner, makes a massive difference. It shifts your center of gravity just enough to help the bike lean with less effort. And when the bike works less, you feel more in control. One of the best drills you can try is what I call the shoulder drop. Next time you hit a corner, consciously drop your inside shoulder toward the turn. Keep your outside knee snug against the tank for stability, and let your body angle just slightly into the corner. You'll instantly feel the bike settle, like it's carving the line more naturally instead of being forced. Another big mistake is clamping onto the seat with your butt like it's glued there. Riders who do this end up stiff, awkward, and jerky through bends. The fix is learning to shift your weight just a touch before you turn in. Slide over early, set your body position, and then lean. When you do this, the bike tips in more predictably, and you stop feeling like you're along for the ride. If you want proof of how effective this is, just watch any experienced rider in the twisties. They're not fighting their bike, they're flowing with it. Their head is lined up with the mirrors, their shoulders are angled, their hips are relaxed, and everything looks smooth. That's not just style, that's control. So, next time you ride, pay attention to how you're sitting. Are you stiff and centered, or are you working with the bike? Even small body adjustments separate rookies from confident riders because when your body and bike are in sync, corners stop feeling intimidating. They start feeling addictive. Mistake number 5, rolling off the throttle mid corner. This last one is sneaky because it's not about what you do, it's about what you stop doing. Picture this: you lean into a corner, everything feels fine, then suddenly your brain panics. Too fast, it screams. Your hand reacts before you even think, and you roll off the throttle. In that split second, the bike stands up, your line goes wide, and you're drifting toward the outside edge of the road. Sound familiar? It happens to riders every single day. Here's why it's such a problem. When you roll off the throttle mid corner, you're shifting weight abruptly to the front wheel. The rear unloads, the suspension compresses unevenly, and the bike becomes unsettled. That sudden imbalance is what makes it feel like you're losing control, because in a way, you are. The golden rule of cornering is this: smooth throttle equals stability. Even if you just maintain steady throttle through the curve, the bike stays balanced. Add in a gentle roll on as you exit, and it feels rock solid. That's because acceleration transfers weight to the rear wheel, which plants the tire and keeps the bike tracking tight through the turn. The fix here is more mental than physical. You've got to train your brain to trust the bike. 9 times out of 10, when your instincts say, too fast, you actually have plenty of lean angle and traction left. The bike can handle it. You just have to commit. One way to practice is by riding familiar corners at slower speeds and focusing only on throttle control. Enter at a pace that feels easy, then consciously keep the throttle steady all the way through. Resist the urge to chop. Once you're comfortable, gradually add a gentle roll on as you exit. Over time, this builds muscle memory. Your hand learns to stay smooth even when your brain wants to panic. And here's the kicker: when you stop rolling off mid corner, your riding not only feels safer, it looks smoother too. Other riders notice. You're no longer jerking wide or wobbling. You're carving clean lines like you've been doing it for years. Of course, none of this means you should charge into corners blind or way above your limits. The idea isn't go faster. The idea is stay consistent. Braking should be done before the lean, throttle should carry you through the lean. That rhythm, slow in, smooth out, is the foundation of every confident rider you've ever seen. So the next time you catch yourself chopping the throttle, remember this: trust the bike, trust your line, and stay steady. Because the riders who keep it smooth mid corner aren't just faster, they're safer, more in control, and a hell of a lot more fun to watch. Now, here's the kicker: you don't need to master all of this at once. Corners are intimidating at first, especially if you've had a sketchy moment or two. But if you just focus on fixing these 5 habits: eyes up, brake before the corner, relax those arms, shift your body a little, and stay smooth on the throttle, you'll feel like a completely different rider in no time. Because here's the truth: you're not a bad rider. You're just human, and humans make mistakes. The difference between a nervous rider and a confident one is learning from those mistakes and fixing them before they become habits. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you hit your favorite twisty road, don't just ride through it. Think about one of these tips, just one. Master it, then move on to the next. That's how real progress happens. And if you got value from this, do me a favor. Hit that like button so more riders can find this and ride safer. Drop a comment below and tell me what's the sketchiest moment you've had in a corner. Let's share and learn from each other because every rider's story can save another rider's skin. I'm Matthew. This is Autozium. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay safe, stay smooth, and I'll catch you in the next one.